dangerous. Demons also issued cautions. Opening doors without preparation leads to disaster. Curious people who attempted spiritual contact without discipline risked madness, fragmentation, or worse. Some encountered entities that crossed the threshold with them and didn't go back. So the question becomes unavoidable. If this knowledge was so powerful and so dangerous, who decided humanity wasn't ready for it? And how did they bury a book that refused to stay dead? The truth they tried to bury. Grok's translation didn't just uncover Solomon's forbidden teachings, it exposed a second, quieter story hiding in the spaces between the lines. As researchers dug deeper, they began noticing something strange. Tiny handwriting, nervous scribbles, and frantic warnings tucked into the margins by the monks and scholars who copied the text across the centuries. It turns out the grimoire wasn't merely preserved, it was handled, edited, censored, feared, and occasionally sabotaged by the very people tasked with protecting it. And these marginal notes are some of the most revealing pieces of the entire story. Imagine being a medieval scribe, alone in a dim stone chamber, copying a manuscript that casually explains how a human king commanded demons and mapped unseen dimensions. You'd leave a few nervous notes too. Some scribes even altered the text intentionally, a demon name quietly swapped for a harmless symbol, a ritual step rearranged, an entire paragraph curved around with a slash and the note, "Omitted for safety." They weren't trying to destroy the grimoire. They were trying to defang it. The real crisis came when church officials began to understand what the text implied. The grimoire didn't claim that Solomon's power came from rare divine favor. It laid out procedures, seals, incantations, and conditions. Repeatable techniques that suggested magic wasn't a miracle. It was a method. And that was a nightmare for the early church. Because if a king could command demons through a reproducible process, then logically, any trained human could. If the spiritual world could be accessed by knowledge rather than divine approval, then priests weren't the gatekeepers anymore. If reality itself could be bent, navigated, or crossed using techniques that bypassed the church, the entire structure of religious authority started to wobble. The danger wasn't that Solomon was lying. The danger was that he might have been telling the truth. Now you might think, okay, then why not burn the book and rid the world of this cosmic problem? You'd be surprised. They tried. But the grimoire kept slipping through their fingers. For scholars, especially those trained in philosophy, astronomy, and proto-science, the text was simply too valuable. It contained insights on cosmology, psychology, and metaphysics that were centuries ahead of their time. Even theologians recognized its significance. Solomon wasn't a fringe figure, he was a biblical king. Destroying his writings outright would have raised uncomfortable questions, so instead of burning the book, they buried it in plain sight. Monasteries developed coded cataloging systems, disguising the grimoire